Welcome to the Big Cats Women's Program 30th Anniversary Podcast. I'm your host Simone Wern, and over the next few episodes we'll be celebrating 30 years of women's baseball at the Springvale Lions Baseball Club. Join us as we share the stories and the moments that have helped shape our program and make it what it is today. This week for episode 10, we're joined by Ryser. Ryan Langworthy, a batboy, coach and all-round program supporter, joined us just as a kid many years ago. He was part of multiple Division 1 premierships as a batboy and honed his coaching craft as part of the Div 3 women's program for many seasons too. He's all grown up now and we're talking to adult Ryser and hearing all about his experiences and his learnings. So come along and celebrate what has been a great 30 years full of memories and laughs. Let's get into it. Welcome, episode 10, Ryser. It's great to have you here.
Great to be here. Thank you for having me.
No, it's awesome. When I messaged you a few weeks ago now and sort of said, what do you think? You were very quick in saying you were keen to come on and chat. Tell us a bit about how you've been and what you've been up to maybe the last 6 or 12 months.
Been pretty good. Just been rehabbing from elbow surgery. Didn't go the way I wanted to. Was planning to go to college about this time this year, but happens. Just a delay, year off, and just trying to recover to get back to 100% before going over.
Yeah, awesome. Well, I hope the recovery is going well. Everyone listening and myself are pretty excited to have you here. Obviously, the photo on the screen of you is close to 10 years old. And you were coaching with me. So for those who are watching who don't know, and they're probably saying, who's that? Who's that guy? Who's that man in the room? It's Ryser. And I thought it'd be great to hear your perspective because you were around the club for a long time. And I know even though you're not involved now, you still sort of follow along and you're still mates with some of the girls. And obviously, you know, we still keep in touch. So I know the club was important to you at a point of time in your life, and I'm keen to hear about your experience and everyone else to hear how you were involved and what it was like for you. So we'll get into it. There's a few things I want to quiz you on, and I think you're a bit unsure, like where are we going to go here? I'll guide you, so don't worry. But I want to talk first about your mum. Now, for those who don't know, Val is your mum. Val Langworthy, and Val actually played well before you were around for Springy many years ago. She came from Bomb Beach, came over to play before she went on to win some premierships with Malvern, had kids, and then came back to play. And I know at the time it was pretty big for her because she had 2 kids, obviously you and Mitchie. Her life was pretty much devoted, still is, but at the time was devoted to you guys. You were a number one priority. So she came back to Springy to sort of get back into the game. And you spent a few years at the field watching her play and sort of seeing a different side of your mum. Like, tell us what that was like, watching your mum play ball.
It was a bit of a different experience because when I first came to Springvale to like watch mum play, was when I was sort of first getting into baseball itself. So seeing mum play sort of actually made me a little bit more excited about the sport itself because it's like, damn, didn't really think that mum was like that. So like and then watching mum play itself just had like something to more like talk to like on a deeper level, not just like normal family stuff. Like Dad always had cricket, but then because he played all the way through in my childhood. But then when Mum came back to baseball, it was like I have Mum to that outlet, be able to talk about my successes and my struggles in it. And watching her do it, I felt like I learnt a lot from her just because she's known a fair bit from when she was growing up playing as well.
Yeah. It's pretty cool, like you talked about getting to have those chats, like getting in the car. And I know this is something Val loved, and she probably still does, but getting in the car and getting to sort of dissect what happened and the game. And I think for you and Mitchie, that was really cool because you were really little at the time. And as you said, getting into the game and learning more about it, like to get to chat with your mum about that's pretty cool. Like not everyone gets to do that. You know, often it's either dad or it's, you know, with your mates or with your coach or whatever. But I think that's really cool. And your mum's been involved in the game for a long time, knows a lot, obviously, about baseball. And so I love that. You spent a lot of time, obviously, on the sidelines with Mitchie, who couldn't be with us today. Hi, Mitchie. Shout out to you. But how fun was it? So you turned up, you're like, okay, who are these people? Don't really know anyone, new to the game. And suddenly you had all these aunties and all these friends, and they're all girls. What was that like?
It's a bit of a different experience because at the time I was like, like I don't really want to talk to any girls. It's all boys. And I was like, oh, well, yeah, I don't even really know what to say because it was like, don't know if I wanted to talk to any girls itself. It was just boys, boys, boys. And then, yeah, having Mitchie there felt like it was like a sort of a comfort thing as well because at the start it felt like I was fairly shy, but as the years like grew on and like seasons came, I've opened up to everyone and I felt like made a real good connection with everyone there and the club itself. So still holds a special place with me.
Yeah, that's cool. I know for your mum, it was important to her. And I think you and Mitchie, she's so lucky because there were times where she was saying, you know, oh, it's a bit hard for me to play. You know, like she came back and loved it. And I was playing in the twos at that time because I was rehabbing for my knee. But I remember her saying, it's, you know, I shouldn't really be playing like this. I need to be doing stuff with the boys. And you and Mitchie were always like, no, Mum, we're like, we want you to play. Like, we love that you play. So I think that's really cool and really important to note because it would have been easy for her to say, oh, I'm not going to play and do something for myself. I'm going to go, you know, do something for my boys, which she always puts you guys first. But like, do you realise now, looking back, now that you are an adult, and looking back on it, how important that was that she got to do that for her?
Yeah, I do now. Like at the time, it was maybe sort of like a selfish sort of thing because we really enjoyed like being around the people there and felt like we got a lot out of it. But looking back on it now, like even those photos that you're showing now, she always looks like she's happy, energetic, and really enjoyed being there. So for herself, like for her own mental health and like physical health, felt like it was a massive thing for her, and very happy for her that she had those experiences coming back with Mitchie and I there.
Yeah, cool. It's awesome. They're great photos. That's me being crazy. There's a few of me being a bit crazy. It's probably a memory of me. We'll talk a bit more about the girls, right? And I was talking to one of your great fans, one of your biggest fans, Arnie Shanners, last night. And we were talking about the fact that and this is you coaching, and we'll talk a little bit later about coaching, but the fact that you and Mitchie were brought up at a time where maybe women's sport wasn't as cool. You know, like women's sport's cool now and everyone supports women and follows women, and you can, you know, we all talk about Caitlin Clark like we talk about anyone in the NBA and like whatever. It's cool. But you connected with the girls and you happily were mentored by some of those girls. And you love that. Like what? Talk to me about that, because not all kids your age would have been like that. And I think it's a testament to your parents and to the type of people that you and Mitchie are, that you were happy to come in and say, you know what, like these girls, they're good. Like I want to go to practice and, you know, watch Wig pitch, or I want to go and watch Shay take BP, or like that. They're good. Do you remember that time and thinking about that? Or did you ever think, oh, I can't think they're good because they're girls? Or tell me about how you felt at that time.
At that time, it was like I was so young as well. So it was like I don't really have an opinion on anything. So it was like to be like, if they're girls, they're boys, didn't really make any difference. Yeah. So the time where I really like was like stepped out and was like understand that they're really good like players themselves was at one of their trainings I went to. Like not only was I was there on the Saturdays, I was there on the Tuesdays, and just trying to better myself. And I remember specifically one training, it was actually throwing with yourself, and I didn't catch the ball in the pocket, hit me in the palm, and then I was like, fuck, that really hurt. And started like shaking my hand for like a minute, and then I was like, shit, maybe they're a lot better than other people could portray them to be. So,
and you know, it's really cool because there's clearly sort of values that have been passed on to you and that you and Mitchie have developed that, you know, like, maybe talk to me about going back to club. So you were playing at Chelt at the time. Like, what was it like going back there? Were you actively talking about the fact that you knew these girls and they were really good? Or was it something you sort of felt like you couldn't talk about because they wouldn't understand or they didn't value women's sport like you did? Or like, what was that like? Was that hard?
Personally, I found it was actually fairly easy just because I was lucky enough to play with two girls at Cheltenham at the time, being Jen and Hanami. So everyone saw how good of a players they were. Yeah. So it was fairly easy to be able to explain that. And like, as I was saying before this even started, like one of my best friend, Nick, he used to come down and watch sometimes and play. And we used to just come down out of like the norm just to watch, even when I wasn't batboying or coaching anymore. Like I remember the friendship series which was playing, like Jasper and I used to come down like and just watch from the outfield or something like that, just because we always thought that was a good standard of baseball.
It's really cool. There's lots of these photos and I'll show you a couple, but obviously lots of mates. And again, every podcast I say we're responsible drinkers, and for some reason there's always a beer in my hand, so I apologise, and you were not 18 then. But there's lots of these photos of you getting to hang out with the girls. Do you think, upon reflection, that now you as an adult coming through this, do you think it's opened your eyes a little bit to women's sport in general? Like, forget the baseball stuff and the springy stuff, but do you think it's given you a really great perspective on the standard and the equality and the inclusion part from a women's sport point of view? Yeah,
it generally has. Like, I'm a fairly avid women's sport fan, like throughout any sport. Like, I remember being at the Cricket World Cup when it was at the MCG for the final, having 92,000 there. It was a ridiculous sight to see, especially just because growing up, you see the male athletes having that similar, that recognition. But growing up around this, like you said before, it wasn't as popular, it wasn't as cool back then as it was like something like now. And that was like a really nice sight to see. And then having a European background, we're fairly big soccer fans. And I remember going to the Fed Square for the Socceroos itself, and then the Matildas semi-final against England. And the place where I always hold the most excitement, most joy was when Sam Kerr scored the goal, and the limbs and like just everyone like going nuts in there. Probably Mum shouldn't be hearing this, but I lit a flare or two there in there as well, just because I was like,
hi Val,
a little bit too excited for it and stuff like that. So it's just a really good eye-opening thing to be able to see the growth of not just baseball and women's sport. Like, there was a massive following for the previous World Cup that Shay was actually at, and Anna. And like, as you mentioned before, how Caitlin Clark's like, she's the face of ESPN itself. Like, everyone in the whole Olympics was talking about why she wasn't there, not why Aja Wilson or how Stewie was actually playing. Yeah, so
that's true.
That's a massive thing in the media right now.
I reckon Caitlin Clark's the face of basketball. You did some coaching, and like we all, as someone who's been coaching for a long time, any opportunity, I suppose, when you get into it as a kid, I think is really cool. You actively sought out this opportunity, and your mum was playing in a different team, but you came and coached in the threes with me. This is you and Brando at our first home game with the let's look serious face. It was a good one. Talk to me about coaching. So you coached with me for a couple of seasons and we won a flag and we finished runner-up. This is the one we finished runner-up at Altona. But what was it like sort of being in the coaching sphere? And you were helping write the lineup, you were coaching first base, and like tell me about that experience.
I feel like it's just a different experience in the game itself. Like, you have to be able to understand the game on a different level to be able to explain how to do something, because you'd have to know it and then know it that well that you'd be able to explain it to others. And having the coaching experience, it allowed me to be able to understand that everyone has different skill sets and different skill levels, and there's no reason that others who aren't as skilled as others shouldn't get the same opportunity. So I felt like it just gave me the opportunity to see different people on different levels just enjoying themselves and trying to be happy and better themselves as players themselves.
It's pretty cool because we coached the threes, and yes, you can see in that photo, like we had some pretty good players at the time, albeit they were up and coming, but you can see Em and Lil in particular and Balin in that photo. But then we had girls who were a lot older, and Sue and Robsy were great fun. But you came in, you're coaching this Div 3 with this Div 3 group. Some of them weren't that great. What was it like? You were a kid coaching these women who were, some of them were quite old. Was it daunting? Was it fun? What was it like for you?
At the start, it was fairly daunting. When you're saying the serious photo, it was probably just because I was just nervous and just didn't have a smile at the time. But then, as the season wore on, I felt like it became more fun and just easier to connect to those girls on a deeper level than just being a sort of like a coach sort of thing. And I felt like you yourself really portrayed me as an actual coach instead of just being there. So I felt very included and just felt like I could enjoy the time a lot more there.
Yeah, and they loved you. They, in the same way, you were always treated like you were there to coach and to gain experience and to learn about the game. And I think you're right. When you're coaching, it's a really different way of learning about the game. And even in Div 3, things can happen really quickly, often with errors and stuff like that. But it does mean you have to be watching and have to be focusing, and that's hard when you're a kid. So that was really fun though. And that's obviously you and Susie. That's us out at Altona. You were batboy too for a few years for the ones. And I'm going to show some photos of that in a minute. But this was one of the coolest times. This was when we were involved with the threes and we won the flag. That was at Melbourne in 2015-16. So again, close to 10 years ago. And so it's been pretty cool to go on and, see Lil go on and play for the Emeralds, and Gabby and Hanami went on as well to play in Vic teams and representative staff. So, and yeah, some of those girls still playing now. Other opportunities other than coaching, I just mentioned flags. So this one's an interesting question. You got to be around some pretty bloody good players. You mentioned Anna before, and you spent a lot of time watching Shay and listening to Shay, and the time where you were batboy and you were involved with the threes coaching, she was coaching the ones. So she's actively out the front talking anyway, but she was actively out there coaching and guiding, and but a lot of those players like Shanners and Kel and Chevy, talk to me a little bit about what it was like being around those girls and what you learnt either as a person or a player.
So a lot of things that you can actually deep into from being the bat boy. As a player mainly, I just saw stuff that I wouldn't see like in a little league game because being like 9, 10 years old at that time, not really knowing what like a certain thing could be. Like you see like a 6-4-3 double play like now and you think it's just routine, but back in little league you see a ball up the middle and uh, the second baseman's like not standing there, so you kind of have to grab yourself. So it was good to like sort of see like stuff like that to be able to translate that into my game because at the time it just felt like to be a little bit more advanced than everyone because just seeing sort of stuff like that because I'm a fairly visual learner, so seeing them doing at the time what I think outrageous stuff for them being so simple, it's helps me translate a lot and learning from particularly like you said Shay, Shanners and even in that photo Toro, they were very like they could describe things in ways that others like fairly couldn't. So like if I didn't understand something like that, they'd be able to help me like understand something like that because I just wouldn't know what it is, and it allowed me to understand things more. Like and that helped me not only as like a player itself, but like as a person because found out like ways that could help me like learn different ways. Like I can translate that back to school even. And it just gave me a sense of like the camaraderie that they have there as well, that they're always trying to help someone. So we could use that, like still use it now for trying to have teamwork to try to win games because there's not one person on the field, there's 9 people. So even if you are the starting pitcher, like it's 9 innings, you're not going to throw all 9 innings anyway. So
yeah, no, it's really well put. This is you in my backyard, and Arnie Shanna's down the end there. So she drew the short straw here. I think we were working on pitching here, but I had the little portable mound in my backyard, and we had just enough space down the sideway to do some pitching. Like, do you remember these photos?
yes, I
And
actually
B,
do.
like, how much fun did you have? You know, as you said, you got to get in the car with your mum and talk baseball, but you had all these people, like you used to, obviously, as you were growing up, come and have sleepovers at our place and, you know, we'd go hang out and do stuff. But, like, did you find that it was fun to be able to get out of, you know, and obviously adults, but we really became friends. You know, what are those memories like for you, and what do you remember of that time?
I still remember that those photos because I remember having one of those Australia hats and then going through your closet and you were just throwing out random shit, and then I just chuck it and you're like, just chuck this on because you're an Australian hat to make it look like you're playing for Australia at that point. And then it just sort of made me feel like, oh shit, maybe I actually am I'm that good because you're trying to boost my tyres while I was pitching like that. Because at the time I didn't really like pitching as much, and you're like, oh no, you pitch here.
Pitches are the best.
Yeah.
Always sending that message. Shay, shout out to you. Pitches are still number one. But I remember that. I used to go through my cupboard. Every time you'd come over, you'd come out and you're like, Arnie Wig, I found this thing in your cupboard. Like, do you want that? And I was like, mate, you take it. Here's another cool one. I found some of these photos. But again, you through Springy, you were able to meet some really cool people. And one of them was Ryser, and you've obviously met a lot of the Japanese. And then I know you went and watched Barkey play footy when she was playing with the Giants, and you obviously still catch up with some of the other girls. But you went to Japan, you caught up with Ryser. I think you guys went to Tokyo Disney together. Talk to me about those connections and what that's like. Like, anytime you go to Japan now, you know you're going to have somewhere to stay and people to go and show you around.
Yeah, I felt like it was, especially the Women's Friendship Series itself, like that was a fairly eye-opening thing because normally you have one import that will come each year. like whether it was Abe, whether it was Anna, as just a couple of examples. Uh, the friendship series, you got to meet a lot of different people from around the world, and the Japan trip itself, like I got to experience things that I probably wouldn't have experienced if I was just a touristy thing.
Mm-hmm.
Like whether it was not just with Ryser, like when we went to the Kyoto Flora Games, like they were sort of treated you like royalty because you were being around the players who like ex-players there.
Yeah,
So,
yeah.
and then just learning stuff from Ryser, even at like Tokyo Disney, and then we had a throw on a baseball field, and she was just trying to teach me different things for different arm angles to throw from, because at the time I was wanting to play middle infield. So she was saying that you don't always have to throw from up top, like to teach me to throw from the side and stuff, just things that I wouldn't really understand at that age. And I felt like just the connection that Ryser herself mainly had, she was always understanding of like Mitchie and I ourselves being really young, and but she always just knew a way to explain it, and it's a testament to who she is now, like coaching for all those Japanese teams now, that it just shows how good she can explain things, and not only how good she is as a coach, how good she is as a person, and really appreciate all she's done for me. And like you said, if I ever go back to Japan, there's always like a tourist guide and there's always a place to stay, because it's just a loving, caring person.
She is, well said. She'll love that. She listens. So, and that's that friendship series you're talking about. And we had some great fun. And you were involved in that. Got your special shirt on there. And it's a great number you're wearing, I must say.
Still wear it at Dingley.
Love it. Love it. And obviously this is us. We're out at the Aussie team were playing out at Altona, and we went out and hung out. I was coaching the Emeralds then, and we had some of the Emeralds girls on the field for BP. I think Abby Kelly came out, Shay, and one of the other girls, and you and Mitchie came out, and we went and hung out with the boys, and yeah, cool times and cool stuff. And I still remember some of these memories are really cool for me as well. A couple of photos I found. This is the one from the front, and this is that day at Melbourne. Look at you.
Very young.
You love being around the place, and I think you really you left a real mark. So we've got Sue and Rob coming in a couple of weeks to talk to us, and I'm sure they're going to mention you. And Shanna's mentioned you guys last week, but you and Mitchie were a really important part of the club. And that's why I wanted you to come in, and I hope that you know that. Val as well, haven't forgotten you, Val, but you guys, obviously, you were off the field, you weren't playing, but you were still really immersed in what we were doing, and you're important. Do you remember this day?
Yep. I remember, like, it was... the ones won like another final, so for them it's just every single year what they used to do. Like, it wasn't like it was just like another day in the office. And yourself particularly, everyone else taking like photos and stuff of like the cup and stuff, but you always took time to take photos and make me feel like I was like a part of it, playing in the team and stuff. So
you were. Look at us there being all serious. Funny. You were trying to be serious and you still don't look all that serious. That was the day, the threes didn't get the win, but we had the win in the ones, so it ended up being a good day out at Altona. This is one of the first seasons, and you can see like how small Mitchie is, but one of the first seasons, and I think you made a really good point earlier that when Val came back to play and knew she wanted to sort of have another go at playing, it was a happy place. And I do think it was really important for her to get that opportunity. And I know that wouldn't have been possible without you and without Mitchie. So this happens in every pod. Don't worry, we'll turn the lights back on. But I wanted to make mention of that, and a big shout out to Val, because I know it wasn't easy to come back. and to have those extra years playing. And it would have been really easy to not do it, but I think it was really great for her at that time. Other stuff off the field. So there's all these great opportunities. You're coaching, you're at practice, you're at the games, you're batboy, you're hanging out with the team, and then this is Christmas dinner, and probably telling silly jokes with Toro and Hannah there. But good times. I think good times in general, and the memories I have of you guys being involved they're just great, and I'll have them forever. We do a little bit of a quiz, and I know you haven't watched a lot of the podcasts yet, but it's called 30 in 5, and you're going to be answering it from off the field. So most of the girls have been doing this from an on-field perspective. But I want you to talk to me about your favourite memories of the baseball. Is there a game or a season or something that stands out for you that you think was really cool?
I'd say it's a tough one to just put down to one, but there was a game, a grand final day at Cheltenham that I really felt like it was the one time that I felt like the ones actually got pushed as well. So it just saw a different standard of baseball, and I felt like that's one of the days that I'd say stuck with me.
A lot of people have mentioned that day at Cheltenham, but not for that reason. But that's a good one. Anything off field? Any memories of doing stuff that weren't in a game that you can think of that?
A lot of the stuff that actually a lot of stuff like you and Arnie Shanna's. I'd put it as one of the Australia days that we had. It was an Australia Day barbecue with you, Arnie Shanna's and Shay, that I just felt like was a good day. Really enjoyed that, and played a lot of backyard cricket, and it was just good to connect with all you guys. Yeah,
nice. That's a great memory. Who was the best person? So I've been asking the girls who's their favourite teammate. Who was the best fun for you in the dugout? So you spent a lot of time obviously in the dugout. Who was good fun to hang out with or to listen to and to chat with?
I think it's pretty obvious. It's not just saying it because you're here, but I've ever since the start, it's always been the number 52 on the back. You could tell that you've always been my favourite. So.
Here's $20. I'll give it to you in a minute. Oh, that's lovely, Ryser. And I loved hanging out with you too. And I think that was pretty obvious. Who's the best player you've seen at Springy? So you've witnessed, you talked about Anna, you've seen Arbe, you've seen Shay, you've seen Shanna's, you've seen Kel, all these girls play. Who's the best? This is a hard question.
Personally, I just think you can't go past Shay. The numbers for itself speaks for itself. Whether it's even just as a coaching sort of role this year at the World Cup, but she's been at every single Women's World Cup. There's a reason why she's there. And seeing her from when I first started playing baseball, she's got a lot older, but it's I don't want to say it like that, but she hasn't declined in skill level that much, but because I've trained with her a little bit last year when they did the women's program with the academy, and she just hasn't lost really any of it. The only thing you can really see is just the arm strength isn't there as it was when she'd field a ball in the 6 hole and have a G to jump throw it to first base. That's the only thing, but she hit 600, 700 almost every single year. It was ridiculous. Mm-hmm. So, and one of the cleanest fielders I've ever seen, male or female.
Yeah, yeah, great answer, and that's one we've heard from most people. Who's the funniest person you think that's been around during your time? Who made you laugh the most?
It was actually Arnie Shanna's, because she used to have rage moments out of everywhere.
I love it.
She just crack the shits out of nowhere, and I sort of pissed myself in the corner, but then be so compassionate when it's right next to her, but still laughing inside.
I love that. She will be like, oh no, what have I But she did. There was some times that she had some real anger. You should take her out on the golf course.
Will do.
She's a good caddy, but if she first shot loses a ball, it's all over. That's very funny. Favourite coach? Did you talk to me a little bit about, was there someone that you learnt a lot from or that you enjoyed being around? Or talk to me a little bit about that.
It's actually a bit of a wild one because it's not really Springvale itself. It was more the Melbourne Friendship Series. I felt like Lulu was the one that I actually got the most out of. Like her and Foxy as well. Those two I felt like just helped me like went out a lot because Foxy herself, when the Friendship Series was getting really popular, it was right when I was about 12, 13 years old.
Yeah.
And at that time, I was transitioning to play a lot of outfield.
Yep.
So
cool.
I didn't really know much to play with that. So Foxy helped me out a lot like that. But in the earlier Friendship Series, I was playing a lot of infield, and Lulu was just one that I felt like I could connect really easily when I was a lot younger, because she had like that sort of personality that could connect with anyone. So those two particularly, I'd say, but. Because when I was mainly there for my younger years, it'd be Lulu, but for the final years, definitely Foxy.
Yeah, cool. Shout out to Lulu and Foxy if you're watching. Hopefully you are. You can probably answer this. Now, I don't know if you are aware of this, but my father likes to poke a little bit of fun at some of the incidents that occur on the women's baseball field. Because there are quite a few funny things. But you were part of the threes for a while, so there's quite a few like sort of funny errors or just like people randomly running the bases when there's a fly ball or whatever. Do you remember anything? And you might not, but do you remember any funny instances that happened?
All I remember is there was one where it was a play. There was runners, I think, on first and second. And I forgot who it was, may have been playing shortstop and thought that there was bases loaded, so decided to throw it home instead of throwing it to any of the other bases.
Standard springy gameplay. Yeah, typical. I'm glad that's the worst you can come up with. That's good because we were coaching, so if it was worse than that, it was on us. Anything else you want to say about your mum or the club or anything before we finish?
I just felt like it was just a place where I could always just have fun sort of when I was young. Like always played on Sundays and sometimes on Friday nights. So like at that time I was so obsessed with baseball, and baseball was the only thing I wanted to be at. So it was just a place where I could always have fun and learn. So being at as much baseball as possible, I felt like all the girls there just made me enjoy it. So.
Awesome. Well, we still love you. We loved having you at that time, and I hope we did play some kind of small part in your journey, and we'll still be following your journey when you're off to college next year. All the best with that and your rehab. And a shout out to Mitchie and Val and to your dad, Mark, who were all great supporters and big parts of the Big Cats. And we hope that all of you can come. So we're having a function on Friday the 31st of Jan. So if you're still in the country, we'd love you to be at that. And we're hoping to get 100 people. We've got about 50 at the moment RSVP'd. We're hoping to get 100 to celebrate 30 years of the women's program. Big thank you. I appreciate you coming in, and good luck with everything.
Cheers, thank you. Thanks for having me.